Hello, happy Saturday. We have another Saturday food support group. And I love these meetings. I love these meetings because we get to come together for free to just gather and talk about the way that we have been able to literally like transform our lives, some of us. And we're in the process of healing. We're at another spot in the journey for some of us. And I've been thinking about this a lot because I love this meeting. I love doing this. And I really feel grateful for what I've been able to do to serve in this capacity. It has been exponentially beyond anything that I had dreamed or imagined. The people that have cycled in and out of these meetings has been incredible. And I love that there are some people that have really been here for the whole thing. And then there's some people who have just been here for a season and they have taught us so much. But I've been really doing some deep heart searching. And I would like to offer you guys a little bit more. For those that are wanting it, or those that are ready, because I recognize that, working with me one-on-one for $6,500 is not accessible to some people. It's not possible to some people. And I, at my core, am a servant. I love to serve. I love to connect. I love to get down in the nitty gritty of your pain, of your misery, to show you hope. And so I have not formulated this. I have not figured it all out yet, but I'm going to start doing some paid meetings that are not recorded. Because I also recognize that whenever we record this, it totally changes the dynamic of the conversation. We can't be as transparent as we would be if we knew that it wasn't like going up on YouTube next week. And so I have been really doing a lot of soul searching, and I would like to extend an offer. I'm not going to remove this. I'm not going to make this paid, but I'm going to have an addition of a new meeting that we're going to do where it's paid and it's private, that it's just you and the other members, and that it's not put up on YouTube. So if you guys are interested in this, if I'm saying this and it resonates with you, then please, send me a message. Send me an email, Emily@Inner Clarity System. And then obviously, if you're already my clients through Inner Clarity System, you know the power of those meetings. I mean, I have seen people literally transform within that 1 hour just in those meetings. And then I've seen people who go every week to those meetings, and I've watched them transform over the months in those meetings. And so I love those meetings. I love the power of that connection. And so I just wanted to offer it to the whole public who might not be able to afford $6,500 to be privy to those meetings. But I wanted to still serve. So just wanted to let you guys know, send me a message if you're interested in the paid meetings, and we'll see how this shapes up. All right. That is pretty much all that I had to say. And then I wanted to start off with Jackie, because Jackie got to experience KetoCon last week. And so from the front row seat, Jackie, what was it like?
So it wasn't like the other KetoCons I've been to, mostly because I brought my 87-year-old mother with me. I call her Mumsies, and she's just a delight. She loves to visit and talk with everybody. And she got to meet Ken Berry, Nisha Berry. She got to meet everybody, really. It was pretty neat. But the best part is this is my third KetoCon that I've been to. And I can't recommend that particular conference enough, because not only the big heavy hitters of carnivore and keto are there, but all the people that in these meetings, there's so many. So before I became carnivore, my journey started with NSNG, no sugar, no grain. And there was I don't know, 30 of my friends from my NSNG days there. And we're like, oh, I can't wait to see you. So it was really great. And most of them know who Mumsies is. So they got to meet Mumsies for the first time. Some have met her in, our travels. We travel a lot. We like to go to new places and see new things. My mom loves to travel. So some of them have had her at their house even a couple of times. So that was really great to see them, but also to see my carnivore friends. There are so many of them. And we only went to, I think my mom and I only went to 4 presentations. For me, it's much more about the people that I got to see and hang out with. And I went to 2 different meetups. So Friday night, which was the 21st, I went to the, it wasn't Ironworks, Oakwood Barbecue, which is a little bit of a drive to get to, but that's where my NSNG friends had a meetup. And then on Saturday night, Dr. Lisa Wiedemann had a impromptu meetup at Ironworks Barbecue, which both places were great. And here's something I learned. I didn't know this before this particular trip is when you go to ask for brisket, ask for the fatty brisket, because there's 2 kinds that they serve you. They're going to give you the not fatty brisket if you don't. And it is so much better. But the Ironworks Barbecue also had the best ribs ever as well. So yes, it is possible to eat totally carnivore and really good food when you're at these things. But they host it in Austin, Texas, which is also known for their gigantic bat population that lives under the bridge right by the Embassy Hotel that I stayed at. So Mumsies got to experience that too. But at the KetoCon, I got a DEXA scan, which was, I can't remember the price, $49, $59, something like that. And I got one last year, so I can compare last year's to this year's and probably do it next year too, just see how things are going. But it was really a fast process to get that done. And of all the vendors, which had a lot of stuff that I would never touch, because they have things like erythritol and keto treats, which my mom, by the way, loved all of the keto treats. But my favorite booth is Peterson Farms, which they are barbecuing or grilling meats the whole time at their booth. So you just keep walking by them and get another sample because it's just delicious, delicious meats there. But yes, some very good talks. The one that was most interesting to me was this, I'll have to put the name in the chat. I'll look it up. But this guy that was big into biohacking because he had gotten cancer, went through, chemo and all these things, but he became obsessed with biohacking for health. And some of the things that he would do are typical that you see in these groups, the cold water therapy, but he had some other things in there I never heard of, like I think it's ozone therapy and just all these weird I had never heard of. But what was great about him is before he got sick, he was a Broadway singer. So he kicked off the meeting singing "Oh, What a Beautiful Morning," and he is good. And then he ended the meeting with all of us singing a song, and it was just a delightful. I love that guy. Now I can't think of his name.
It's okay. You'll remember by the end of the meeting.
It'll come to me. But anyway, he was my most interesting talk that I went to. And there was another guy that also did genome therapy, or you can absolutely map what's wrong with you. Like you can't process this, mineral or whatever. And with the genome or whatever it was therapy, you could, it was very expensive. I didn't do it, but you can absolutely see what your body is lacking or can't get from what you eat, I guess, is what, I don't know. I'm not good at explaining these things, but really great talks. And I also went to the carnivore women's panel. Excellent.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was excellent. And then I also went to, it's from the Steak and Butter Gal group, but the feasting and fasting panel. Both of those, standing room only. Both of those, the panels that I went to. So, and Mumsies, because she's on a walker, they put her right in the front. So I had to be in the front. So it was really great. But I highly recommend KetoCon if you can go get to one of those. And you'll be surprised how many people that are there too. So Yeah.
That's awesome. So the presentations, they were like, I just imagine like it's a large facility and then they have like break off rooms.
Yes. Yes.
And then how long were the presentations?
An hour or 50 minutes. It's not long.
Yeah. And then were you able to like, did they have a microphone where you were like able to do Q&A at the end of some of them?
Yes. All of them had Q&A at the end. I guess the ones on the main stage, some of those were longer, like an hour and 30 minute or an hour and 20 minute. But the ones in the breakoff room, I think breakoff rooms were only an hour. And we definitely said the carnivore women's panel was so packed. You could hardly, there were people out in the hallways trying to listen. We're like, main stage, that one next year. Come on. People want to see that. Very popular. And it was great presentation. Dr. Elizabeth Bright was there. I had never seen any of her work, and she's brilliant, amazing.
What were some of the main points from the women's thing, like 2 or 3 points from there that you thought were special?
It's interesting because they don't all agree on everything, of course. And Judy Cho was there. Some of them do supplementation, some of them don't. Danny Conway was there. She's a supplement person versus some of the others, no supplements at all. So that was interesting to see the interaction and the way they presented. It was very good. I mean, because depending on where you are in your journey, you know, you could resonate with one of these ladies, but they definitely were all different, all of them.
That's amazing. And then I gotta ask, did you see the carnivore bar?
I didn't.
Oh,
No. I also didn't see Redmond Real Salt, and I thought they were probably there. And it was very hard to do everything and see everything because I wanted my mom was resting and not overdoing it. And yeah, it changes the dynamic to have, you know, your mom with you.
Oh yeah, yeah. And but I know the carnivore bar guy was there. But I totally get it that and it seems like a lot of venues, like an endless amount.
Yes, there was a lot to see and do, and I did not see everything and do everything. I got to meet, you know, like Sean Baker again. I've seen him before but I didn't get to see their presentations because they were late in the day on Sunday. Baker was that day, Barry was that day. I got to meet them on the vendor floor earlier, but I didn't get to see their presentations because we left first thing Sunday morning because we were technically on a 2-week driving trip of Texas to see all my family, and KetoCon was right in the middle of that. So yeah, we were off and running again, you know, every day. It was fun. 2 days at each family. So it was really great. We got to see everybody. So excellent time.
That's awesome. And then, you know, traveling, was it difficult for you to travel and continue maintaining your eating?
Yes, it's difficult. You know, but I am a really big McDonald's burger patty gal when I'm traveling, because it's not that I don't want to try all these other, got to find great barbecue.
It's safe.
I'm all about fast, safe, convenient. But I did like a taste test at different ones. So I did go to a Sonic, which we've had one near our town, but they closed. And I never had their burger patties. So I tried Sonic's. They were really not delightful at all.
No.
And then I had Whataburger, which was amazing, really good. I would recommend their burger patties with cheese. Excellent. So Whataburger. So that was the biggest thing for me. But as long as we found a restaurant that served everything, I could usually get a steak, or I don't know what is up with me right now, but I love eggs with cheese, you know, scrambled or omelet with cheese. And, you know, that's just a real fast go-to, and I know it's safe. So most of the time anyway.
That's awesome. Yeah. Except for I've heard, is it IHOP? That they put pancake batter in their scrambled eggs.
Rude. So, that's rude.
Yeah. So you definitely you're safer to get the fried eggs. Or
what's really nice is my aunt and uncle in Oklahoma, which is where we started our trip. They always have a steak for me, but this time they made this taco pie for me. And I have the recipe, but I can't find it. But they gave me the recipe and it was delicious. And I had it for breakfast. They made it for dinner. They made it for dinner, but we didn't get there in time for dinner. So I had it for breakfast the next day and it was really good. I'm like, oh, I'm making that. So they really try to accommodate me and never make me feel, like I'm trouble or anything like that. So, yeah.
Because you're not trouble.
Great.
You're a blessing. No. HB is the trouble, not you.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Been called that before.
He's been called that before. Oh, yeah.
We can blur out the background, but we can't blur out his mic. Awesome. Thank you so much. What did he say?
He said that could be dangerous by itself.
There we go.
No truer words.
So thank you so much for, letting us live vicariously through you, as you went to KetoCon. If you guys do not follow Jackie on social media, on Instagram, she's at I am Jackie Jam. And on Facebook, she's Jackie Jams.
Yeah, I do have
your
a Facebook
I am
page. Mm-hmm. But I've had a hard time keeping up with the Facebook page, but it's also called I am Jackie Jam.
Awesome.
So I promise I'm going to put KetoCon stuff up on there soon, but I just have to get organized with all my pictures and whatnot.
Your travels alone have been a lot. And honestly, the bat thing was really, really interesting to me. I did not know that about Austin, Texas. So
me neither. And I've been there 3 times. So that was the first time I even heard about bats or noticed any bat things anywhere. And there's bats everywhere there, like on their designs. And, had no idea.
That's so cool. Well, thank you so much for that update, Jackie. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And next, we've had a request for testimonials for just our story. And so we would like to take some turns here really quick and just have a couple of people share their story with, basically this way of eating or their way of eating. It doesn't have to be carnivore. It can be keto or low carb or whatever. As long as it's not Doritos and soda, I want to hear your story. So Isabella, go ahead and kick us off.
Thank you.
And where are you from?
Yes, I'm Isabella. I'm from Sweden. I was born and raised in Austria, but now I've been living in Sweden for the past 25 years now. I'm 48 years old. I'm a teacher and also now an editor and a writer. I published a book 1 year ago, actually, my first book. Yes, and it's about my my eating disorder. When I was I think it started very, very early because I was an overeater as long as I can remember. So I would just eat and I couldn't really stop. And then I was at first, when I was a teenager, I thought about the fact that everybody else is able to just put down knife and fork, and I just can't. I could eat all the time. And I very often did. And I smuggled stuff into the house because my mother was very strict when it came to sugar and certain foods. And we also were partly vegans at some point. And I remember I just really asked her in my early teens, I was like, Mom, please, could you buy the smoked ham, please? Can I have smoked ham? I was just I wanted to have meat. I was so tired of the soy substitutes. However, so I was, I didn't know what that was. I just couldn't stop eating. And so then after a couple of years, I thought, maybe you can just eat and then you can just, if you throw up, it wouldn't be a problem. That was my solution. So I became a bulimic, and that went on for some years. I moved to Sweden, and then there came a time when it was just, it just, you can sort of mask it, and you can act just a happy person, but there comes a time when I sort of hit the ground. And I realized, okay, this is just nothing is nothing good can come from this, really. I'm just really banging my head against the wall, and I think, oh, maybe next time something will be different, or I will be happier. And it was very much about, of course, my body and losing weight and being obsessed with weight as well. And however, I found a support group, which was really which was fantastic. And that was the start of my recovery. And with that journey, there was also a journey of personal development, and of course the spiritual part that that's the first thing you hear at the meeting is that you're a complex person, and you need sort of get the food sorted out, get your feelings sorted out, and your spiritual, the spiritual being that you are. You have to acknowledge that. And I was like, oh, interesting. So that started, and I had a great recovery, but then I found low carb first after some years, and that was great. But I didn't know about that I needed fat. I was losing weight, but I was quite tired, and I looked a bit, I don't know, pale, and not that I didn't look very healthy, I think. And then we ditched that, and then I found some years later I found keto, and that's when I sort of learned about if you take away the carbs, you need the fat, you need the meat, and sort of that I need protein. I've learned that in my recovery very early. You need to have protein. If you're food addict or sugar addict, whatever you want to call it, or bulimic, you need to have protein with every meal, and not just a tiny bit of chicken. Just you have to have a proper amount of protein. So that I would have. But then when I found keto, something happened. It's the cutting out the carbs was something happened also with my being satisfied after meals. It was a completely different feeling after a keto meal. And then after a while, I read about these carnivore people. I was like, oh, this seems crazy. Only meat, okay. But so it's something, it somehow spoke to me, and I was like, I'm gonna try it. And people would go like, this is crazy. And I'm like, okay, I just talk about it. I just want to try it. And I thought about it, and then I thought, okay, I try it. And I did, and it was really, it is amazing, because then was sort of a new level of satiety and of feeling satisfied and happy after a meal. And then I found Emily via a podcast, and I contacted you on Instagram, and we started working together. And then there came also a new level of spiritual awakening, sort of the food, the meat and the fat. It's just, we had these sessions about being at some sort of spiritual food. Sounds weird, but it is, something happened, and it was really, really, it was delightful, totally delightful. And I had times the times I struggled with carnivore, when I went to visit my family, for instance, because there's a lot of food, and just food is love, and they wanna, I'll get there once a year. So, but this is also getting better, because sometimes I just think, all this talk about food, I was just, give it to me, I'll eat it. I get this like a little girl. I get this like, okay, damn it, I'll just eat it. I'll be fine, But it's not what I really want. So this is something I'm working on, and it's getting better, and it's also about being prepared. Now I'm going away on a trip with my students and some colleagues to Stockholm, the capital, and I'll just make pemmican now. I'll bring my pemmican so I can have my own lunch, and dinner will be fine, but lunch, I'll have my pemmican. And so, yeah, I love that, being prepared. And it's just, the carnivore diet added a new layer to recovery, and also to my life, because I'm feeling great. I'm 48, almost 49, and you know, how many people my age are like in a burnout or tired all the time, have aches in their bodies. And I'm like, I feel great. I have energy. And yeah, I'm really grateful. And yeah, thank you all people as well for having me here for this meeting.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
amazing. And also I think culturally, not only in your family, but in your environment, you really had a lot of adversity to that, because in Sweden, veganism and vegetarianism is very common.
Yeah. And it's like, it's difficult because the idea that meat is bad for the environment. And it's just such a, well, nah, you can't really put it that way, because that's not really true. If we all get sick, and we have these huge discussions about young people feeling really bad. I'm like, but then you tell them they should eat soy. I mean, what, you know, how do you want to play that? And so yeah, it's a bit of some people think I'm weird, but that's all right. I don't mind.
Well, and I think that's where we had to go, you know, and that was one of the places that we worked on, was to recognize that we're not going to change your environment. We're not going to change the whole country of Sweden. But what we can change is your experience with that. And so you were able to, my favorite is your example of your friend who's a vegetarian, who, whenever they have you over, they cook fish for you.
Yes.
And that just like lit my heart up, because they loved you where you were at, and you loved them where they were at. And so it really was a spiritual journey that we went on.
Yes. And it still is. It's really delightful. I'm so happy.
That's awesome. Well, you know, getting a front row seat to your journey and your experience has been one of the main pleasures of my life. Like, I'm so in awe and so excited that here I am in Southeast Missouri, and I get to work so intimately with another human being in Sweden. So it's been really fun. And thank you so much for your transparency. Not only, you know, here, but also I can imagine in your book. And so as soon as it is translated in English, I definitely want to be the first to purchase that book. Awesome. Thank you so much, Isabella.
Thanks. Thank you.
So anyone else want to share their story? Monica. Good morning.
So, good morning. Hi, everyone. So I just wanted to kind of share, because it's something that happened this morning. I realized in my journey of ketovore, carnivore, that I need to do the high-fat carnivore. I am not a protein-sparing person, and that was more detrimental to me. And there's two things that I'm most grateful for right now as a result of my journey, which is sleep and just general brain health. I have not slept through the night since I was a child, and that was very difficult for me to traverse. And the things that I did to try to get back to sleep, stay asleep, it was very long nights. And by high school, I realized that if I stayed up until 11 o'clock at night, and I'm a morning person, I could at least sleep from 11 to 6 and get those straight hours, which were more beneficial than going to sleep when I was actually tired, but waking up and being up for several hours through the night. And during this process, with the high fat, especially the high fat carnivore, I started sleeping at least till 4 a.m. So I sleep pretty much by 10 o'clock, and I could sleep until 4 a.m. And I noticed that if I do any changes with my eating, I may not notice it physically, except I will go back to waking up at 2 or 3 a.m. every single night. And that instantly tells me something has changed, something is going wrong. Sometimes it's accompanied by the fact that my brain would hum all the time. And I was just used to that, that there was this constant, I don't even know how to explain it. It wasn't actually a tingle, but it was definitely something I physically felt all the time. And it was, it just became a part of me that when it finally went away, I didn't even realize it. But that's kind of what brought me to high fat carnivore. Was I was reading and they were saying, something was saying about certain feelings in your brain, that was an inflammation of your brain. And I instantly was like, oh my gosh, how do I get rid of this? And so that's what brought me to high fat. And when it went away, I probably didn't even realize it for a good 2 weeks that it was gone, because it had always been a part of me, until I had something one day that was probably off plan and it came back. And that was the recognition that it was gone. I also didn't know or get diagnosed until I was in my 30s with ADHD. And I think that was also part of my sleeping, where the diet helped that. So I had shared last week that I was back to not sleeping. And I realized over the weekend, when I was thinking about things, I made a lot of changes to my eating that weren't things that I had normally been eating. And I made several changes in 1 week. And so I said, okay, you need to go one change and then go back. So I went back to like my burger patties and my things with one change. And, within a couple of days, I went back into my sleeping routine and had a couple of days where I woke up 2 minutes before the alarm at 6 a.m., which like never happens. Well, it was a very long week, very long days. We had open house. I had to be at work till 7. My daughter had a concert last night. We were out till 9. I was exhausted by the time I came home last night, and I went to bed. This morning, there was this horrifically loud noise, and it was metal and scraping and and at first I thought, there's someone that lives near me that must have to go to work at 4 a.m. and they have a very loud engine when they start their car. And many days I would hear it because I would be awake. But I was like, that's not this. And it was instantly giving me a headache because it was such a wrenching noise. Well, they're going to be doing some repairs here on the property, and they were delivering the dumpster. And it was scraping out on the ground right outside of my bedroom. But as horrific as that was, and the headache that it gave me, I looked at the time. It was 6:15. It was after 6 o'clock, and I was being woken up from a dead sleep. And I cannot tell you the last time, we're talking years.
Wow. That
I went to sleep, slept all night, and did not wake up before 6 a.m. That just does not happen to me. It does not happen in my world. And I'm so irritated to not know how long I would have actually slept past 6 o'clock. Because the only time that happens is if I wake up at 2, 3 a.m. and I don't fall back to sleep till 5. And then I might sleep till 6:30. But a full night, that never happens. And
I can't wait to see what happens tonight.
And no, that is totally attributed to this way of eating. And, you read everything and they keep saying sleep is so important. And I'm like, okay, but what about us people that just don't? The body doesn't let me. But I'm going to say, another healing phase that I am experiencing. I want to get rid of this headache, and it will go away. But it didn't bring brain hum or anything. And I'm grateful that my brain does not hum, that it's in a healthier place. And I'm grateful to be getting sleep. And so that's the healing that for me has been the most wonderful in switching to this way of eating.
That's awesome. That is amazing. And so I love that message that you can't make 20 changes in 1 week, because you don't know what's going on. Even if it's a benefit, you don't know what's helping.
Yeah.
And when there's a problem, you don't know what's the problem, you know? And so this method of getting down to basics and then doing one new thing, you're able to identify the positives and the negatives.
And I could just be grateful that my body will tell me right off when something is not going correctly. So knowing now that I do have the ability to sleep for several hours and I don't have to be up in the middle of the night, as soon as I'm waking up 2-3 nights in a row, I know, okay, let's look at what you're eating. Let's look at what's happening. Let's dial back. And I'm grateful for those clear signals that I can know, no, if you're not sleeping, something is changing and it doesn't have to be. And so, you know, as I learned from you, having had any kind of experience that you can draw from and you can remember when there's a change, you have that recognition because you know what the other thing felt like.
You got to get to that baseline. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Monica, for sharing your story with us. And it's so inspirational because, you know, even whenever you're going through like a tough week, a tough moment, there's still those like glimpses of hope. And like, this was a huge win. This was a huge win in your sleep. And so I'm just so excited. I can't wait to see where this is going.
Thank you.
Awesome. So we got about 15 more minutes. Anyone else want to share their story with navigating this change of eating? Go, Tom.
Only because you have 15 minutes left and you need somebody. No, just kidding.
You have such a great story.
No, just thanks to Jackie for sending me the link to the silicone baking sheet she uses to make her sausage. What I don't know what you call your sausage little thingies you do for
dehydrated sausage.
Sausage, yeah. I saw her making it, and she had these silicone baking sheets. I'm like, I gotta have that because the parchment paper sticks and it doesn't work as good as. So she hooked me up as I knew she would. So happy that. So as most of you already know, February of 2022.
22.
Yeah, 22. Thank you for knowing my life better than I do. I weighed 303 pounds. I felt like I was going to die. Felt like I was close to death. I can feel it when I work outside. And you know, I was doing a lot of heavy duty work, like digging ditches and I cut my own grass, still do today. But I was started feeling like, man, if I don't do something, I'm going to die soon. So I had a second CT calcium score, which showed that my plaque buildup was significantly more than when I had done it in 2016. And I started getting a little bit nervous there. So I started looking up and what can I do to change my life to make things better. And I came across a video on YouTube that was Michaela Peterson's Don't Eat That video.
Tom, do you mind sharing your numbers? Your CT numbers?
Oh,
If it's okay.
It was pretty high. We're talking like they do it differently in different places. Like they'll say 1, 2, 3, 4 in some places, but it was like 1,100 the first in 2016, and I'm like 1,600 or 1,400 to 1,600 in 2022, January of 22. And of course, my blood pressure was consistently in 165, 170 over 100, like constantly. And I just was feeling unhealthy. Felt like I was going to die. So I saw this video, Don't Eat That, from Michaela Peterson. Amazing video if you've never watched that. So that led me to a video that I saw of Michaela interviewing 4 people that were on carnivore for various reasons. And one of them was Emily Penton. And you saw that.
That's how Isabel found me too.
Yeah. So
thank you, Michaela.
That's because Isabella and I are smart and know how to find the right people. And so I started, tracking Emily, and then next thing I know, I'm on her channel here. And So, and I think I haven't left since, now that I think about it.
Nope.
I've maybe missed one or two in the last probably year and a half to two.
Even in the hospital.
Even in the hospital, I didn't miss it, right? So there may not be time to talk about that part, but in the short time that I started carnivore, and I went cold turkey. I went straight cold turkey, and it did not pass go, did not click $200. And I immediately reversed. I had type 2 diabetes. I had fatty liver disease. So in 2 months, I reversed my type 2 diabetes. I went from, sorry, just almost dropped something. A1C went from 8.2 to 5.7 in the first 3 months, and it's at 4.7 right now. So my doctor didn't even believe it. I told him, I said, it's going to be, I even told him what it was going to be when I was in there. And he goes, there's no way. And it was like that. And then it was 5.7. I was 5.7 or 8. I forget. It was right on the edge of type of pre-diabetes, whatever that is. And then the next time it was 4.7. And not only that, my fatty liver disease was resolved in less than 8 months. I mean, I was on metformin, and of course they're immediately they want to give you statins, they want to give you metformin, they want to give you all these medicines to supposedly control. I actually think that the statins could have contributed to my calcium buildup over the years, because my cholesterol was, before I gained weight, my cholesterol was always high, and they were always trying to put me on statins. So I finally go on statins, and then my cholesterol is normal. At my worst health in February of 2022, felt like I was going to die. My blood pressure is up here. My cholesterol was normal. So my cholesterol was at a point to where they thought I was okay because my cholesterol was normal. So it looks like the statins are doing their job. Yeah, they were doing their job all right. They were probably killing me, and I had nothing but mental fog the entire time. So I took myself off of statins. And within a couple of weeks, my mental clarity was 10 times better than it was when I first started. So what did I resolve using carnivore? And there's more to the story. Obviously, there's not enough time, but I saved my life, for one, because I was going to die. I found out that my arteries are actually 100% blocked. In August of 2022, I went in for a what's called a left heart catheterization. So if you're listening to me on YouTube, get a CT calcium score at a very minimum. And if you have a score of 0 and they're trying to put you on any type of medications, tell them to go pack sand. And when they say, well, your cholesterol, well, look at my CT calcium score. I'm sorry, but you're going to have to come at me more than that to get me to take statins. Matter of fact, there's nothing you could tell me to get me to take statins, but that's beside the point. But if you have at least a 0 calcium score, you have that ammunition. If you do have a score of anything, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it is, the next step is to do the left heart catheterization, because that's where they go in and they eject the dye to see if you have any blockages. So what do they want to do for me? They wanted to give me statins, and my cardiologist, who I fired as soon as before this, and I had to get a quadruple bypass. But what does she have me do? She had me do a stress test. I'm doing a stress test, not a medicine stress test, but a stress test where you're running on a treadmill and they're raising the thing, and I can't get my heart rate up to the point where they want it to be. Meanwhile, at that point, I had 100% blockage. I'm like, and I'm in a doctor's office, not at a hospital or anything like that. So what are they going to do if I just drop out there? They're going to do give me some adrenaline or something directly poked in my heart or something just like on TV? No. And so what I found out at the University of Maryland, where I had my bypass, they said that the stress tests are really a waste of time. Because you know what my stress test said when I did it, that everything was normal. So I had a normal stress test when I had 100% blockage. Yeah. So it's ridiculous. So fortunately, I had what's the next step? And I said, let's do a left heart cath. So I went ahead and did that. And I went in there on August 29th, and they said, and the guy did it. It only takes a few minutes. They put a wire up your arm like this, go in there, inject some dye. And then, I could see it. And I watched enough YouTube videos, and you're awake with doing this. And I'm like, that doesn't look too good. I could actually see it. I see the dye coming in. And the reason why I hadn't died yet is because my heart found a way to around different little the avenues around the artery to get blood still to the heart. So I never actually had a heart attack. I never had any damage to my heart, but I have a quadruple, replumbing of heart, stuff, and a nice scar right down here. So anyways, carnivore
That's amazing.
It saved my life. It kept me going long enough to find out that I needed a bypass. And I'm out there, I'm doing all the heavy duty stuff I was doing before. I didn't have to do the cardiac rehab that they wanted you to do. And when I went there, they said I was the healthiest looking quadruple bypass patient they ever saw. So that was carnivore that did that. Really, that got me back to a position of health. It brought all my blood to normal levels, except for cholesterol, which is high. My triglycerides are right in the sweet spot where they should be. And the LDL, which is not an indicator of heart disease, which they say it is, they don't. So I've learned so much in the last year and a half. And the stuff that they tell you, probably start believing what the opposite is, because 99% of the time, it's the opposite of what they're telling you. And I don't care who they are. I don't care how many schools they went to. And the doctors that you can trust more than anybody are probably the surgeons. So I would look to the surgeons before I would trust any primary care doctor. Not all primary care doctors are bad, but there's some out there that are finally waking up to this. But so sorry to drag it on a bit.
No, are you kidding, Tom? Your story is absolutely amazing. I don't care how many times I hear it, because you don't usually hear a good ending to that story. If we would have taken a snapshot of you at the beginning, like I will never be convinced any other way but that you saved your life. You completely saved your life by eating fatty meat. And I don't say that's for everyone, but it was for you. And it literally took this ship and like turned it around. And now, just like your neighbor testified, like, where's the old man that used to walk your dogs? That's me. I reverse aged. I'm a new creature. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Tom. And thank you for your support. You have been just like such a glue to this group and this team. And I just love how excited you get about everything and the life that just comes through you. You're welcome. All right. That's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for another incredible meeting. And we do this every Saturday, so you guys are more than welcome to join in and ask your questions. This meeting is for you to ask your questions and to get your voice out if you want to share your story. So thank you guys so much. I hope you have a great rest of your Saturday. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.